This is our Digital Academy Directors meeting for April 9th, 2025. You can see in the chat that we have our link to the slides, as well as up here in the top left corner of this slide. That should get you to our slide deck for today. And then while you are there, also take note of the attendance. That should also be in the chat. You can also get it on this slide here. It's just bit.ly/SCESC-attend. For those of you who are in the room, you can just do a QR code as well. So I'll give you just a second to fill out that brief form, and then we will keep chugging along. All right, so for today, we have our welcome and reminders. Great to have everybody back. We'll also do our district share. That I hope is the meat of our conversation. We are really light on vendor content this month. Typically, we see a lot of those rollouts come in the summer, so that's not a shock. And then last, we have our show and tell. So hopefully you brought something fun to the meeting, and if not, I have a bunch of fun things to share as well. So as always, I'm Matthew Mays. I'm here at the Stark County ESC and at Spark. There is a link at the bottom of this sheet. If you have not done so already, or if this is your first meeting in a while, take a look at that sheet and please make sure that you are updating your offerings so that way we can best support you in that work. And we also have an online home. This is at bit.ly/StarkESC-DADS that has help guides, that has our meeting archives, including recordings, as well as slide decks. And then a lot of content from our vendors too, just quick hits to all the ones that I know about that are in use here for our network. All right, this is our final meeting of the year. You can see we've had 3 others here as a part of our conversation for this year, with taking off those months of December and January, which are again kind of dead zone. So this is it. This is it for our year. And then if there are vendors or like potential vendors that you are interested in hearing from, let me know. We can add that to our vendor series where we invite them in to share and talk about their products, do a demo, give us demos. That way you can kind of poke around and see if that's something that you would like to investigate in the future. All right, so my favorite portion, this is the district share. So I'm going to shrink my screen. Anybody have any questions, anything that they would like to discuss as a part of today's meeting? Anybody else, anything?
We're still chugging along with the admits LS usual, and I appreciate all the stuff you've taught us about AI, because I mean, just me personally, I've been getting a lot more into it, using it as an assistant for myself.
Good.
I've considered like possibly trying to teach it somehow, whether that's through CCP, if I could get certified to do that at some point, or like, I don't know if I could get licensed to teach it to high schoolers or not. And then, or like I've thought about like trying to help staff navigate like all this stuff with AI, because I'm sure students are using it and maybe not always ethically. So
yeah, I have.
You're right.
Yes.
Yes. That's kind of how I feel. Like I'm not sure it's making the world a better place, but it's here to stay, so I might as well use it. Like I've seen a lot of animations and stuff being created, like the Studio Ghibli and stuff. I mean, it's neat, but it's kind of sad. Like the guy who created it, they showed it to him, and he was really upset about it. Like that anyone can.
It's his life. Yeah, it's his life's work.
And I kind of feel torn. Like it's neat that anyone can do that, but I kind of is taking away from people who can do it, like the people who created it originally. I don't know.
Absolutely. Lots and lots of ethical concerns when it comes to AI, for sure. For sure. And Chris and I were talking about the opportunity that I shared out with everybody about joining that class at Malone, the workshop this summer. And that filled up very, very quickly. So that's exciting. You know, our educators want to have these conversations. I know that the state has been in talks with a couple different products, programs, what have you, about like basically co-signing or co-sponsoring one of the majors. I think I've shared with all of you before with Magic School. So they are in talks with the state through like OESCA, through the management council to basically like buy licenses for every student in the entire state, which I think is really interesting. Typically, we don't see those kinds of, you know, partnerships at that level. That's pretty big time. So
What's the company that's?
with Magic School.
Oh, Magic.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we have so much use of Magic School within the state. I think he gave me the stat that 46% of all educators in Ohio have used or are currently using Magic School, which is bonkers. But as a result of that, they are not just treating like, think of how we have done consortium pricing on things in the past. Like Ohio is the consortium. So like, because it is so, you know, rooted in so many districts, like they just said, well, the whole state can get consortium pricing as a result of that, which is pretty cool. So yeah, a lot of crazy things happening in the AI space, that's for sure. You know, I had a conversation with my nephew over the weekend who is a freshman in college, and he was like, "Oh, I had this assignment and it was coming due and it wasn't done, and I didn't really know what to talk about, and so like I used ChatGPT for the first time," and I was like, "Yeah, buddy, I'm sure it's no secret. Like, I'm sure your professor was, you know, very adept at spotting that and knowing that this isn't your voice. But it's like you both said, it's here, and this is the climate that we have to adapt to."
You know, if lots of kids are getting kicked out of college or like.
I don't think so.
Getting
Yeah, I think it's
down.
more. I think it's more of that.
Yeah.
I would find it to be a very hard case to prove that a student was using AI. I mean, we've talked about like AI detectors and stuff in the past, and like, I know how easily they can be tricked. We know how unreliable they are, especially for our English learners. Like, there are a lot of hurdles that would have to pass.
I just took some college classes myself, and I made sure everything I turned in was on my own work. I used ChatGPT to help me like gather my thoughts and stuff. But then I put what I wrote into ChatGPT, and I said, "What do you think are the chances AI wrote this?" And it said like 75%. And I was like, it's all my own words though. So then I find myself trying to dumb down my own writing, like to not get accused of something.
Right.
Justin.
And like the larger issue is in K-12 schools, we are typically rule followers. Like, that's just, we are coded that way. There are rules, there are structures, that's what we do. So using these AI tools feels like we're starting to dip a toe into like the waters of, you know, like ickiness. But if we start to view it as more of a collaborative partner, as a really smart colleague, as, you know, that person in the building that I always go to and trust and ask questions of and try to get help, then I think we can start to actually embed it into our workflows, and less of like, I'm doing the bad thing, and more of like, this is the collaborative partner that I've always wanted, and who's never annoyed when I message it at 11 p.m. at night, and who is the expert in my area. And so it'll take some time, but yeah, I mean, it's here. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, using Canva to help me refine something I'm writing, I just kept going back and doing more prompts and and start feeling like I'm annoying it. Fine.
Yeah, that's absolutely what it's for. Any other shares, questions, things that you want to pop out, plans for next year that you want to bounce off?
He's working on it.
The Senate Bill 29?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's what you said, Senate Bill 9, and my heart dropped. I was like, oh gosh, there's another one. Yeah, Senate Bill 29, your DPAs, all of those, I think, are being secured. The one of the major timelines is for August 1st. That's when a district has to post all of the agreements on their website, make it accessible by parents. And then parents have to acknowledge the programs or apps that might be used that are not signing a DPA, but the district still wants to do. So that's all coming together. There's another meeting on Friday of a group that I call the Digital Detectives. It's like network managers, it's curriculum directors, it's coaches, but bringing everybody together to have those types of conversations, and they seem to be going really well. We're also dipping into like a couple other topics, but just like really trying to bridge the gap between the technology department and the curriculum department and bring everybody together. So yeah, that's been really great. We're going to welcome Bill and Amy from ETLA on Friday. They've been warned that it's going to be a lot of, well, what ifs and hey, what about this is? And so they're going to be with us for an hour and are really excited to answer all of our questions. So yeah, if you have something, what's that?
We just had a meeting about it like a month ago, so our district has realized it's serious now.
A meeting with all staff or a meeting with?
The tech department was talking to our staff, and so they're.
How did that go?
Pretty well. I mean, it seems like our tech department's going to handle it. We're supposed to just send them what we're using, and then they're going to take care of it. So I just told them that meant Minnesalis for me.
Yeah.
So.
And were the teachers like, this is ridiculous, I should be able to use what I want? Or was it more of an understanding of the landscape and what's really going on?
They're all just kind of like, okay, I'll tell you what I'm using. Like, it made it sound like the tech department's just going to handle all back and forth with the company.
Yeah. So the problem is going to be, here's what I'm using. We can't get agreements for these 5, so you can't use those anymore. And that's a different conversation than give us your list. Like that's nice and easy. But when your list is using stuff that, we can't get agreements for, that is when it becomes really sticky.
Easy workaround be like our language, not language artists, like our foreign language teachers give all the kids student like fake names. What if every teacher just gave the kids fake names and didn't put in their real info on websites?
So I think the companies would probably push back.
Because they want their real info.
It's not so much that, but they want to know that, like, if you're purchasing a seat or if you're, paying for this student to have access, they want that student to have access instead of it being a generic name that then like 3 kids have access to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then we're kind of like student 1
Right.
could really be, a whole host of a bunch of kids. So I think they would probably not be really thrilled about that.
Yeah. For stuff you're paying for.
Right. Right. And a lot of the places where we're going, like, they may not collect any personally identifiable information to begin with. So yeah, there's a lot of considerations with all of that work. But if there are items that website like won't sign a data privacy agreement, there are pathways in which like you could have parents sign off on the usage. But like we're really trying to limit that because ultimately like we're doing all this to keep our kids safe. And so it's a weird conversation to say, hey parent, like we know this website doesn't have your kid's best interest at heart, but like we're going to use it anyway and we need you to sign off on it, like to essentially like we need you to put your kid at risk because this is the thing that we want to do. And that's a really weird conversation with parents. So
to work with all like the single sign-on where like Google has your first and last name and you're in like, I don't know how much of that's considered personal info, but you've got your Google account and then you go to some website where it just says sign in with Google. So is Google responsible or?
So it all depends on the fine print, because usually when you click on sign in with Google, it'll take you to a secondary screen that'll say Joe's website wants access to, and then it gives you a big list of all the things that it wants. And that is the like the secret behind the scenes stuff. And then ultimately you want to look at a website's privacy policy, their terms of service, basically like how are they handling all of the data, because what's going to tell you whether or not this is a place that's worth your time or not. And the tricky bit is like, what if an app comes up tomorrow that everybody wants to use and we don't have an agreement in place for it? And that's kind of the education piece. That's why I asked you like how it went with your teachers. Because like that's a really difficult like behavioral shift.
Right.
Where typically we see things, social media get sent from a friend, go to a conference and we see it. And we're like, cool, we're going to start doing that. Everybody, all the kids, let's get on it. And that kind of mentality has to stop.
Yeah.
And like future planning to be able to say, this is a thing that I want. Hey, technology department, curriculum director, whoever is leading that charge in the SDPC to be able to say like, I want to use this thing in 3 months. Like, can you, secure the agreement for me now so that I can use it? Rather than I need this thing, PS, I need it for tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's I think unrealistic expectations at the moment with just the way everything is going on. So a lot of sticky conversations for sure.
Jill's son, she's trying to get in.
Let's see. There she is. Let's see her pop up here. I have a thing on that is called auto admit. There she is. Hi, Joe. I'm sorry about that. I have a thing on called auto admit, but lately it's only been working when I'm looking at the Google Meet screen on my computer.
That's okay, thank you.
Which like totally defeats the purpose of auto admit. Like I just wanted to like let people in all the time. So yeah, I'm sorry. We are just talking about our district shares, our problems of practice. So if you have any questions for your friends in the room or ideas or things that you might want to, consider going into our summer months here, this is our time for that. And then you have all the resources in the discussion area too. Okay, anyone else? Things that they want to discuss?
Liz Cherry from Acellus has called and she wants everybody switched to the gold version. She says now that the version, I think begins with a 539 or something like that, will no longer be available next year. Have you guys all switched to gold for all of your students? And I don't see a reason that we would switch right now at the end of April during testing when our students are going to be finishing up in May.
They want you to switch.
I've been on gold all year. She told me the other one wasn't available.
Which is probably just like the grandfathering in of that system. And because this is your first year on the thing. Yeah, I would say if it were me, I would be like, okay, that's nice. We'll get to it in June. Like when all the kids are done, I wouldn't try to make any kind of switches right now. Would you like for me to reach out to her?
No, that's fine. She's reached out to all of us and we've told her the same thing. It just doesn't make sense to switch at the end of April. But she certainly does want us to. So no, we just told her no. So I didn't know if everybody else was going.
I wasn't a part of those because I'm sure she's just reaching you directly because you're actually using it in the thing, and I don't have an account on Acellus. Like that's not a thing that we use here at the ESC. So if something like that ever comes up though, and you want our support, just let me know and we can definitely tackle that together.
Oh, well, thank you. That's so nice.
Is there a price difference going to gold, or is it just a switch of a platform?
I don't know, but as she has said, gold's the only one that's going to be available next year. And our district likes Acellus, so we will switch all of our students to gold. I've only used it for a few students last year because when they introduced it, they were still trying to get the bugs out of it. And I didn't want to put a bunch of kids in it while they were trying to make it work. But now they've gotten the bugs out of it, and I think it will be fine.
I would just be nervous of doing that in the school year while my kids are actively taking coursework.
Right, and it was an introduction, and what you actually had to do was you had to get out of the original Acellus and then log in to the Gold Acellus and then log out of the Gold Acellus, log back in. And now they've interfaced the two. And then you would have to run the original report, and then you would have to run a report with all the progress and data for Gold. So I think that's still the case right now. You have to, they don't have the two, so you can run just one report for all the Acellus students. You have to run one report for the original and one report for the Gold. And it was just so much extra work for me. It was like, nah, I'm not doing this. So
Yeah, I mean, I understand their perspective, but yeah, I would try to do everything in my power to kick the can to June, if nothing else. Once you know all of your kids are done.
right, thanks. Yep.
Anyone else have things that they would like to discuss? So every third Wednesday of the month, we have a Leading for Learning meeting. This is a group that I help run with a couple friends throughout the state. And this is a great opportunity to bring together all of our digital leaders throughout the state, all of our organizations. We get instructional coaches and directors and everybody in between. So if you have questions or if you want to see what other people are up to, I would love to have you be a part of our calls. You can see there's a link to the agenda there. It is just one doc that has different pages for every month. And then that also has like the Zoom join information as well. So would love to have you join in there and connect with some other people outside of just our area, but connecting across the state. All right, from our vendors, not a whole lot. I just wanted to remind you that this is the contact information that we have for our various vendors. These can also be found on our website. And then so that we can best support you, again, up at the top, you'll see a link to that same sheet that was in the slide deck earlier. But these are the most updated or most up-to-date names that I have for each of our programs.
I am Steve. Steve.
All right, so from Edmentum, this was at our last meeting, but I just wanted to resurface it for you. There are some products that they pushed out or some resource guides here that I think are pretty neat. So if you're an Edmentum user and you want to check these things out, by all means, please feel free to do so. Okay, we got a really great product update there from Acellus, from Margaret sharing. Is there anyone else that has any specific product update or a thing that they think everybody else should be mindful of? Like I said, typically that doesn't happen in April anyway, but we'll be on the lookout for all of those kinds of things here over the summer. All right, so it is time for our share out. This is just a place for, hey, I saw this thing. Doesn't necessarily need to be tied to a specific program or product, but these are our share outs here for April, and I'm going to change that date. I thought I got all of my Februaries to become Aprils, but here are our April 9th updates. Anyone have anything fun that they want to share, things that they saw, things you can do now in the digital world?
What I talked about earlier, the AI,
Tinkering around?
and I created a chatbot. This is just myself. It's cool. Yeah.
Cool. What kind of a chatbot?
So I was just seeing if I could do it. I made one for our church, but the pastor wasn't interested.
Like what was the task that it was doing for
It
you?
was like if people were to log on the website, it would like answer any questions like who are your pastors.
Okay, good. I was hoping it wasn't going to be like AI Jesus trying to guide you through. That would be a whole other ball of wax, and I'm glad that
It
we're.
was basically just answering any questions that people would have, like
That's
pulling
really cool.
information from the website. Yeah. I didn't care that he didn't actually want to use it. I just wanted to see if I'd be able to.
Just a fun
Yeah.
use case.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I have a link on here for our GEG Ohio meetings. These are monthly meetings that Eric runs, as well as some other friends from around the state. They're really excellent. And just wanted to resurface that here for you. Those are typically at 1 p.m. Toward the end of each month. That's when those are held. I think it kind of fluctuates days too. So if you're interested in those meetings, you can click that link and venture out to there. I have a couple of resources that I wanted to share with you, some things that I think are neat or new. So the first of which is building blocks in slides. If this isn't available to you yet, it should be on its way. But when you go to insert, you should notice this option here that says building blocks. And this is a term that they are using, that Google is using across all of their products. But what's really nifty about this is it's going to pull up a side panel with fully editable items that you could pop into any slide that you want. So I'm going to add a slide to this deck just so that way we're not messing up anything that we've done before. And what's really cool about this is, let's say I wanted to add these cards, right? When I select it, I then get that added to my slide deck. And typically, like when we do this kind of thing, it'll be like, these are stuck, right? We can't do anything to them, but I can change anything I want to. So I can change this text, I can change this text, I could change these shapes, I could change the color of the shapes, I can do anything that I want to, because this is a fully customizable add-in, or in their words, a building block that I can work with. So you'll see things like these people cards, like this would be great for like name tags, or like identifying people in a slide. We also see the cards, which is what I clicked on there. We see some text call outs and some contacts. There's some badges and some stickers, which I think are really cool. So if you're thinking of this in a collaborative way with students, then maybe they're putting ideas out into a slide, and then if another student likes it, then they could add in this sticker here to say like, yep, this is a great idea, I really like this option over here, this is the one that I would pick. And again, this is fully customizable. You can change it up to do whatever you would like to do. So if you don't want that to be a green one, maybe you want it to be a yellow star, now all of a sudden I have that yellow in. This is really fun because this is like in direct competition now with Canva. That is a product that I know I've talked to you about previously, where like that's where I do all of my design elements. I think it's really great, but this is kind of dipping a toe into that water. So you can click on any one of the headings and then be given all of the little building blocks that go along with it. You'll notice that it's somewhat limited at the moment, but I would expect this to continue to grow over time. All right, another one here is templates in Docs. So when you go to Google, and let me share this tab here. When you go over to Google and you want to bring in a new doc, typically, you would go to new, you would come down to Docs, either click the button or you can click this little arrow, and it gives you the option to add a blank document or from a template. And when you select from a template, this is going to take you into like Google's older template gallery. We also have the feature here where this is like your own domains template gallery, which is slick. So you can put all kinds of items in here that anyone on your domain can access. So you can see here within mine, this is the Spark template gallery, where we have like all of our calendar templates and whatnot, as well as like some letterheads and things that are just made openly available for all of our staff members to pull from. But Google has also added a few others. So I'm going to open up a new doc. And when I do so, they have changed the workflow a little bit. So this is a plain document, and without any text, you'll notice that I have these little buttons up at the top. These are more building blocks, just like what we talked about here on our slides. But this word here, templates, is going to take us to a different template gallery than the one that I just showed you previously. So it is as if they have two simultaneously independent template galleries, and why they are not one and why they didn't just put them all together, I have no idea. But you'll also notice in this one, these are much more dynamic, much more beautiful. They incorporate more building blocks. So these are just kind of like nice little shortcuts, but they are like definitely more like well designed, and again, ready for you to fully customize. So let's say that you, for whatever reason, want to do this project tracker. So maybe you have a couple different students at some different levels. It allows you to look through this and say like, oh, okay, this, I could see how this would be helpful. And when you hit insert, it brings all of that information over into this document. Again, this is fully customizable. So if I want to change up these words, I can do that. If I want to change up this where it says person and actually associate it with someone, I can select that name and pop them in here. And now all of a sudden I'm tracking different projects throughout the course here. So as you're thinking about your students who are maybe working in group projects, or that you have several students in a bunch of different places, then this option here, this project tracker, could be really fun for you. But again, fully customizable, ready to go for you templates. Now, if you wanted to, you could just come up here to File and New, and then to from a template, and that is going to bring up that same really fun dynamic template gallery that we had before. And just one more time, that is a different space than when we would previously go into New and Docs and then from a template. Those are two different spaces. So why they decided to blow that out, I don't know. I hope that they kind of merge those two together, because I think it's silly that they're in two different spaces, but just know that that's there. Hey, other fun from our friends at Lake Center Christian. I'm going to click on this link here. This is just kind of their exploration of various AI tools. I thought it was a really fun layout. You can see over here on the side, they're utilizing the document tabs, which is another new feature from Google, to just kind of explore some of the AI tools that are available to them. So you get their overview and just some of the things that they are prioritizing. You can then go into the different apps where they are talking about basically what they like about it, what they don't like about it, some things that they are creating as a part of their testing. But I just thought this was a really well thought out example of some conversations that you can have within your own district. All right, other fun, Gemini is now a core service. So that's big time for student data privacy concerns, where basically Google is not going to sign a data privacy agreement. They have just come out and said, like, we believe that our policies are supporting all of this work, that we don't have to sign this document. And so our friends at ETLA and TEC have basically gotten a legal opinion that says, yeah, Google is good to go for their core services. And so now that Gemini is being added to that list, as well as Notebook LM being added to that list of core services, then this is a really positive thing for districts who want to utilize these tools. Now we know that Gemini and Notebook LM are going to be, they're following the guidelines for COPA, FERPA, and every other UPA that we might come across. So the age restriction is still on there. So this is intended for 13 and up. But in talking with Eric Kurtz last week, he said that in some of his conversations, he's hearing that Google is exploring options to lower that age threshold below 18, or I'm sorry, below 13, which I think is really interesting too. So as you're trying to explore the world of AI, if you want to investigate something like Gemini or something like ChatGPT, then these tools are good to go for you. Okay, yep. No, go ahead.
ChatGPT is good to go also.
So that's going to be, you're going to need to explore that within your own district. You would need to get the agreement on there. If that's a thing that you're going to use, they still have the age restriction. So 13 and up for them. But yeah, that's just a different side of the AI coin. That's all. And for me, like, all of my people are already in a Google environment. It's nice that everything is integrated with Google. So you can see that last bullet there. There's some new features that have been added to Gemini, where basically it pulls up a side panel, sort of similar to what we're working with here, where the main space, like 3/4 of your screen, is being taken up by like an actual editable document that you're working with Gemini. And then over here on the left side of your screen is the collaborative conversation. And so in real time, you are modifying this document through conversation, through your ability to just click on things and edit them and actually input names and whatnot. It's really, really slick, really clever. And then in one click, you can export those items out into a Google Doc that then is just treated like every other Google Doc that you've ever seen. So yeah, really slick. I think that's a great option for our schools, in that like we know it's good to go. We don't have to try to secure a different agreement with somebody else. It is, our generative, our conversational chatbot that is ready to go.
And you said that's for 13 and up, right?
As of right now,
Oh,
yeah. As of right now, that's what that's how they have it structured. But I would be on the lookout for it dropping even lower.
And as far as Senate Bill 29, we're only concerned about what teachers are leading. Like kids who sit down and study hall and go to ChatGPT on their own, that's not really our responsibility.
So it depends on the device that the kid is using to do that on. If they're using their school computer and they're getting onto a website that has not signed, then they're using that school issued device, which is like an extension of their classroom. I'm cutting a lot of corners in the legalese, but basically you are providing them a device to do the bad thing. So you would have to block the bad thing so that the kids
They're
can't.
gonna have to block all kinds of stuff.
If it were me, that's how I would do it.
So,
Just so that way I don't have any concerns otherwise. But to get to your original question, like they can go home and do whatever they want to do.
right.
But while they are with you throughout the school day on your device, you are doing everything in your power as a district to keep them safe, to keep their data safe, which like is really no different than what we always do, right? We have the filters in place so that if a student is looking up something harmful to themselves or someone else, like we're going to get involved and we're going to do what we can to help these students. So it's just actually codifying it in law.
But that would bring in a whole lot of things that would be restricted if we don't have, like everything we don't have an agreement with. I mean, wouldn't districts be better off like locking everything and then only opening up these few websites that we have to have an agreement with? Like,
So also consider though, like, what am I logging into? Because that's really the big key. Like if I go to Canton Repository and I want to read an article, I don't have to get an agreement for that because I'm not giving them anything. There's nothing transactional. They're not like tracking me through my account, like that kind of thing. So I think you have more flexibility than let's lock everything and only open certain things. Because for the most part, like if we're just doing our general web searches or whatnot, like we're not really being, we're not logging into websites or we're not interacting with it on like an account level, if that makes sense.
but you're saying if kids go in and create an account on their own, like they say they do something on their own during study hall and create an account.
But it would have to be outside of their school account. Like you would want to make it so that they can't use the school account or their school credentials to share on whatever the thing may be. And so a lot of people have different filters in place. A lot of people have, the name is escaping me at the moment, but it'll come to me as soon as everybody walks out of the room, I'm sure, where basically it's logging all the websites that our students are using. I was on the phone earlier with a district they were like, we have 3,000 plus websites that kids are logging into at the moment, and we're trying to, rein in because obviously we can't get involved with, or we're not going to secure agreements for 3,000 different things. Like that just doesn't work. And so it's digital insights. See, I told you it would come to me, but digital insights tells people with a dashboard, like these are the big ones that everybody's using. Here are, the data privacy, considerations, like these ones we know are good to go, or these ones, might be concerning to you. It's got all kinds of good stuff baked into that. And a lot of our districts are jumping on with that too. All right. Anyone else have anything fun that they would like to share as a part of our share out. All right, so we have technically closed the window for proposals on our conference, but I haven't actually closed the form just yet. So if you have a session that you think could be worthwhile that other educators might benefit from when it comes to K-12 education, we would love to have you present as a part of our conference. This is going to be June 10th and 11th. If you'll remember from last year, we have partnered with Spark here at the ESC. So we have one giant conference that's merging the conversations of curriculum, merging the conversations of technology into one really great conference. At the moment, I just checked, we, I think, have 88 proposals, and that doesn't include anything from myself or Eric, who basically said, stick me in a room and I'll talk for every session. So God love Eric, but that's going to add an additional 12. So we're really looking at like 100 sessions at the moment, which is awesome. So it's a great conference. I say that knowing full well that I also help run the conference. So take my biases into account there. But we have food trucks and just great conversations. We have some ideas this year that I'm really excited about to get like-minded people in the same rooms together talking. And it's just going to be a really great time. So if you have a proposal, please get those in ASAP and then look for registration to come out at the start of May. And we'll start bringing people in for our conference. This year it's going to be at Canton South High School, which we're really excited about. They have a really beautiful high school and have been kind enough to welcome us into their space. Okay, all right, so be on the lookout for that form. And with that, that is everything that I have for you today. So please make sure that you're making your way into the chat. Grab that attendance link. Make sure that you are checking out the recording. I'll post that. So if you have any questions or things that you want to revisit, this will be the last official time that we see each other for the year. So I think I might be the first one to say enjoy your summer, as ridiculous as that sounds on April 9th. But we are here to support you. So if you're making those decisions over the summer, over the next couple of months of like, what are we going to do next year? Reach out to our email group. It's there for a reason. Jill mentioned that too. If we could utilize that more, I think that would make everyone feel even more connected. So, so definitely check in with everybody there. But if there's something that you think we can do to support you, then by all means, please reach out to me and we'll connect those dots for you. Okay. Other than that, I hope you all have a great day, great end of your school year. Enjoy the testing window, and we will see you next year.